I'm coming on for an update just to tell you a little bit about the story I've got posted here. I've got a GoFundMe account. I don't have the link posted, but it's on some of my other videos. It's Erica's Legal Battle. You can type it in and search it, you'll find it. But I wanted to talk about a little bit about what happened from the very beginning, which I've already mentioned a little bit about it before, but I wanted to go back over it because in my last video I was talking about how some things just really don't make sense, and some in your timeline on the news and things like that. I know you're seeing a lot about women as far as their birth rights and maternal rights being violated in ways that don't really make sense. From the very beginning, it wasn't really about anything that I did wrong other than attempting to leave. I was attempting to leave the relationship I was in with my son's father, and he didn't want that. He didn't want me to get a job. He didn't want me to leave. And he took me to court without me really having any knowledge. Back then, in 2018, I had no knowledge about how to go to court. I had been to court one time. I had been involved, but it wasn't really anything extensive that I had to do. So at this point, I didn't know how to defend myself. I had a really small toddler, and I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't know how to get a lawyer, how to find one. And it was just really scary at the time. I didn't have any money to get a lawyer, of course, because I didn't have a job. Well, what happened was he accused me of a bunch of stuff that I didn't do. And so I went and got proof that I didn't do this stuff. And when he found out that I had the proof, he kind of reneged on everything. Said, well, we're not going to court because he couldn't really prove anything. He said, we're not going to court. Let's settle outside of court, which is the worst thing that I could have ever done. Because in our state, women, if you're not married and you have a baby, you are the sole custodian. You are sole custody of your child. And you can really do what you want. Supposed to. You're supposed to be able to. You should be able to leave. You should be able to take the baby with you. And nobody can really say anything to you. Now, marriage, the statutes of marriage, if you're not legally married, they do consider you married if you cohabitate. It's called common law marriage. But typically these type of marriages end once you move out. So after a year of living separate, you're no longer considered married by any real law, and you don't have to do a divorce. Now, if someone can claim that you're married through some type of proof, even if it's not a legal marriage, either through cohabitation, or there's certain things that you can use to try to prove some type of marriage commitment, and they can take you and try to get you a divorce. But I'm telling you, this whole thing, it's not even really about the child. It is what it ends up being in our case, because it's insane. His testimony talks about how we're never married. Every document he's ever signed says we were never married, and then they go into talking about getting a divorce. And I'm like, where's the marriage? There's no marriage that ever happened. His lawyer is kind of all over the place throughout the years. And at this point, I'm like, look, my son's 10 years old. Why are you still fighting over custody? He's tried to change our custody agreement several times, and it's let it go. Dude, it's been 5 years since he started the fight, or it's been between 3 to 5 years. He's been fighting over stuff. And then I'm like, give it 5 more years, he's going to be driving, and he can come see me whenever he wants to. And so I'm like, you're running out of time. You're running out of time to try to keep me from being a mother. And his perspective is very strange, because I really haven't done anything to not be allowed to be a mother. I took care of my son as a single mom for the first 7 years of his life. I had physical custody, which I think I talked about before, which means he lived with me. But I messed up in the first custody agreement, because when he found out that I could prove that he was lying, he basically said, well, let's just settle outside of court. And we wrote up a custody agreement sitting on the couch, which I would never ever do. This is the worst mistake I ever made, when I gave him joint custody. And because when you give someone joint custody and you give up your sole custody as a woman, it gives them the upper hand, especially the fact that he did have a lawyer and I didn't. It kind of like down the road, when judges look at your case, they think, oh, well, why does she have joint custody? Because did she do something? Like, because it's very, like, it's uncommon, it's not normal for the sole custody to be taken away from the mother. And that was my ignorance. I didn't know any better. And so it made me look stupid when really I should have just went to court and showed them the proof that I wasn't doing what he was accusing me of. I probably would have came out a lot better. I'm not really sure. But I'm still waiting on my son's medical records to come in the mail so we can look over that. I haven't gotten a single donation other than like my friends and family. It's not on the website, but my GoFundMe is still posted. Like I said, it's Erica's Legal Battle. You can read about it's more of there's a lot of physical. I've paid the lawyer. She dropped my fees to a lower amount, like I mentioned in one of my other videos. But I still am really in need for support. Just coming on here to give you an update and see how things are going, if you're interested in what I've got going on. But I just think it's very disturbing how someone can take you to court and say things about you that are absolutely not true with zero evidence at all. It's absolutely crazy that someone can show up and talk about you and say things and then have no evidence to prove anything. And then they leave the burden of proof on you. They say, well, you need to prove this. You need to prove this and that. And I'm like, the other person didn't prove it. Why is it that you think I need to prove something that's completely hearsay? They don't have a video of me. They don't have a test, a medical test. They don't have a psychiatric evaluation. They have nothing that proves any accusation against me. They don't have a photo. Nothing. No testimony from other people. Like, why do I have the burden of proof? And then I show up and I bring the proof, and it just feels like it's not good enough at the end of the day. So I'm just gonna have to keep bringing more proof. I've got to get a lawyer retainer fee up. I need my own lawyer. I can't just pay his lawyer because she got suckered into defending me because he's so messed up. But anyway, I'm gonna try to keep this a little shorter. I'm signing off. These leaves are falling and it's beautiful. The weather is nice. We're actually getting fall weather. How great. But alright, I'll see y'all soon.